So that's it. This thing is done. Now, Ghislaine, and that's right, they're French. The Queen paid, they paid, somebody paid. The Bank of England, you believe me, they paid. That's no big deal. But which, by the way, started the row between Chuck, Wills, and this loser. Remember, they bounced him out of this. And wasn't he still living with Fergie for the longest time?
Yeah, they're like
is this guy demented, or what is the matter with him? Anyway, so let's go back to, there's Ghislaine in the back. Where is she? Is this the way you treat her? She's kept her mouth shut. Why? If I had to bet, she loves her family. And she doesn't want to see anything bad happen to him. So she's going to do her time. And then later on, she'll just go off into that night and she'll fly over to, I don't know, some bank in the Cayman Islands. She'll go to a place to deposit, and there's this Bitcoin number series, like this 50,000 numbers. Here you go. Bitcoin's the way to go, my friend. Cryptocurrency. There you go. Have a nice day. And that's it. So this case is going nowhere. Go ahead and have the book, have the various rosters released. Doesn't matter. Who is this? Who's this Jean-Luc?
Jean-Luc Brunel was second in command of procuring after Ghislaine, and he was found Epsteined in a French prison when they apprehended him. He ended up the same way as Jeffery. Quite rapidly, they unalived him. Mm-hmm. But Epstein bragged that he got over 1,000 girls from Jean-Luc Brunel, including 12-year-old triplets, and he commended them on the oral performance. How sick is that?
Well, I don't know about you, but I didn't hear what you just said. So, and let's keep it like that. Now that's the different story. Now we're talking. See, up till now, anything involving adults, I'm sorry. That's like with the Diddy thing. I'm not even remotely interested, frankly, in the Diddy thing. Because, I am, but unless you see this doesn't matter. Because let's face it, people are going to say a lot of folks went out of their way to go to his parties. And believe it or not, a lot of girls themselves went out to recruit people to be part of this entourage. So it goes against the notion of victimization when you've got people themselves, victims, going and saying, come on, this is great. We got a handbag, Louis Vuitton. So I don't know. But that thing is going nowhere. And Trump is having the time of his life signing everything. Who shot JR? Who let the dog out? So I'm signing the thing. There you go. Any question you have, RFK, sign it. There you go. This is fun. Joe Biden didn't do anything. Today in the United States, here in the U.S., in one day, Trump and Melania, the first lady, went to North Carolina. They're going to Los Angeles. They're flying around. He doesn't stop. He's 78 years old. Joe Biden would never show up at the White House. He wasn't there. So Trump is just showing you, I'm the anti-Biden. So he signed something about Epstein. Go ahead. Terrific. He signed something about JFK. That's the best one. Go ahead. Sign it. You want the files? Here are the files. You're not going to find anything in the file. There's nothing in the files. But I'll find that. Robert Kennedy. That's a really good story because there's some really evidence, some good evidence, because I was in a closed room. Everybody was there. It was a different story. So anyway, we're getting I don't want to jump way off because you know me, Shaun, I stick to a very tight subject matter, never veer. I'm never desultory, never elliptical. I never go off into the woods. I'm stepped. I'm absolutely focused. I'm disciplined. Very few people do what I do, Shaun. Be very happy. You got the easiest job in the world. You ought to give me Ghislaine money for this. You're thinking, this is great. I just sit back.
I don't even have to ask questions anymore. I can just laugh during
you could actually Put it this way: if your screen froze, nobody would know. Just, and I love you. I'm saying that I love you because you're a beautiful person.
Much love as well. We can't wait for you to come and stay with us in the UK.
Oh, I can't. I've never been. I would love. My wife and I would. I've never been. Never. I would love it. I think. Let me tell you something. I think. I've always. Who was it who said we're common, whatever, separated by the same language? I would. And you know what I would want to do? I would not want to do anything that tourists do. I want to know what you do. I don't know where you live per se, but I want to see what the average, what the regular folk do. I don't want to go Westminster. Okay, that's nice. I've seen. That's it. Just let me drive by. Yep, that's it. It's like the Griswolds in the National Lampoon. Remember the Grand Canyon? Yep, that's the Grand Canyon. Okay, let's go. The Eiffel Tower. That's it. Okay, let's go. Anyway, let's do questions. You want to do JFK?
Yeah, so I live on an ancient burial site, and the warrior bishop who died fighting the Vikings 1,000 years ago is buried outside the front of our house. So wow. Yeah, it's spooky here. But anyway, yeah, so we've got Trump announcing JFK, RFK, MLK files. There's pressure now to release Epstein files, which is what we've just covered. But let's go back to JFK, RFK, MLK files.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be revealed here? Lorraine wants to know, what are we going to find out?
Nothing. I mean, if they went right now, right this moment, and they said, okay, let's release all the files. There's nothing in the files. Oh, look at this. A video of the sniper. Signed, his name is Meriwether Tuppence. Come on, you're not going to have that. By the way, there was an old, the comedian Bill Hicks, the great comedian. He's kind of like George Carlin, but he was not as well known, but he was very good. And he said, I always thought that before the president takes office, the Secret Service comes in and says, Mr. President, have a seat. We want to show you something. And they pull the drapes down, and they have like an old projector, with the screen and the 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter. And go, watch this, and it's a picture of Dallas, November 22nd, 1963, taken from the vantage point of the sniper that only the sniper would have seen. Nobody's ever seen this angle before. And the lights go on, and Secret Service says, now, any questions? Because we're in charge of you. Anything you'd like to know? Nope. There was a time one time they said that every now and then the Secret Service wants to let you know that you're not that protected. There was the case one time when Obama had somebody actually show up. He was in the lift or an elevator, and this guy, I don't know how he got back. Just like, damn, how did that happen? And Obama's thinking, you've got to be kidding. There was another time too when George W. Bush was out on a bike somewhere and the whole city was in lockdown. He didn't know it. They want to let you know. They've had planes fly over and land on the lawn. And that's why President Trump needs to have his own ninjas, his own special group of people. And he spends a lot of his time in Florida at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Because the White House is the worst. It's the most unsafe place there is. But, so.
Question from Carol.
Yeah.
How many years have they had to sterilize any pertinent information? Do you really think there is any relevant facts?
No. In a file? No. In a file? I mean, payment for the shooter? No. Let me give you an example. Let's go back. No, RFK already knows that Sir Anthony Rand didn't kill his father. Secret Service did. Nope. There was a fellow. His name is, if you want to go through RFK, his name is Thane. This name always escapes me. It's Thane. Just a second. Thane. Yes, hang on one second. Yes, Thane Eugene Caesar, Cesar, Thane, Thane. Look at him, because this is the whole story. RFK had, remember, always go to the evidence. Don't just go to what you think might have happened. There was powder deposition found on Bobby Kennedy. Now, Sirhan was across the room. This guy Thane was right there. He was like a bad cop, or he was some kind of a. I've frozen. Anyway, let me move this here. Okay, let me see if I can close some of my windows out. I'm doing like you. This is my invitation of you. Let's see. Close this down. Get ready to go. Get rid of that laundry list. Cross up. Anyway, so the shooter, nobody could have been up close to him except this fellow, Thane Caesar. So that's an angle. Let me give you another story about this dude Thane. RFK Jr. calls him impossible. Believe me, he's got to be very careful and everything. But we know, and you know, this thing called MK Ultra, and it's this wonderful mind control ultra. This is absolutely declassified. It's also Project Artichoke. Isn't that great? These names. It's mind control. Why do I think that's possible? Two things. First, if ever there were two cases where MK Ultra, at least on its surface, seemed to be consistent, it would be number one, Chapman, who killed John Lennon. I forget his name, Chapman, whatever. This is the guy who, that's Sam Giancana. That's Momo. That's from Chicago.
Welsh Gold wants your thoughts on his role in any of this.
Well, Sam Giancana, Momo, they by the way, they got him too because he was yapping up a little bit too much. Somebody very close to him. He was responsible for, and by the way, it's getting very, very complicated. Let me just. He ran Chicago. JFK beat Richard Nixon by a very small figure. And what was critical was the vote in Illinois and Chicago. This was the head, Sam Giancana. They were responsible for this. He also, Sam Giancana, was stooping this woman. What was her name? This was the starlet. My brain gets fried. This was the woman where JFK and she were sharing this woman, so to speak, which is the most stupid thing anybody could ever do, because John Kennedy was the most reckless person. Judith Campbell Exner is her name. Judith Campbell Exner. Okay. They went through so much to help this guy that when he gets elected, what do? Bobby Kennedy goes nuts. And Bobby Kennedy is responsible more than anybody else for the death of his brother. They felt such betrayal. So let me go back to this one thing about Mark David Chapman is the fellow. Mark David Chapman said after he killed John Lennon, I love John Lennon. I don't know. And he waited. He had his album. You killed him. I killed him. I mean, it was like, okay, interesting. J. Edgar Hoover hated John Lennon. Hated him because he was making a mockery out of him. He kept beating, they were trying to deport him. And anyway, that's one. Second, Sirhan. They said, you killed Bobby Kennedy. I did what? You killed Bobby Kennedy. Why? You tell me. Tell me what? Why you killed him? I did? Yeah. Because he's from Jordan. Or you're from Jordan. He goes, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Because of Bobby Kennedy. What did Bobby Kennedy have to do with Jordan? You tell me. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So there's two instances of this. What? Huh? So they looked at this son of a gun and they said, he's the guy, and that's it. And Bobby Kennedy has been a little tepid. Remember one time he said, I decided to go talk to him right away. So one thing about the King family, and I interviewed one time James Earl Ray, who was the alleged assassin. James Earl Ray said, I'm a bad guy, but I didn't do it. And Dexter King, they had a separate civil trial. All of them said he didn't do it. The Kennedys, they don't say anything. Just like Wills never says anything about his mother. He never said anything about that story about the whole Henri, the whole story. It's weird. It's almost like saying, listen, we don't talk. I know this may seem counterintuitive. We don't talk. You want to get your money? Right now, in the Kennedy family, they had like 9 brothers and sisters, and then there might be 1,000 Kennedys right now between in-laws, cousins, grandkids, great-grandkids, spouses of the great-grand. Nobody knows. They're like fractals, like Mandelbrot fractals or bed bugs. They just keep, so nobody knows. I don't know where this money is. So I have this idea, can't prove it, but I wouldn't be surprised. If when you get to that certain age, just like when you go to the HR department and somebody says, okay, Shaun, you're 18 and you're going to get, here's part of your trust fund. This is from being a Kennedy. Now, before we do this, let me give you a scenario. You're at a bar one night, you're at a pub, and you meet some little chickie who you take a fancy to and you like her. And she says, who are you? Oh, I'm Miss Owen Kennedy. Kennedy? You mean the Kennedy family? Yes, I'm the nephew or grandson of, you know, I've always been a fan. Who do you think killed? And that's when you get up and you walk away. We never talk about it. Rory Kennedy, I believe, is the documentarian. Never does a documentary on this. Bobby Kennedy has come the closest, but even he's like, I don't know about you, Shaun, but do you know how many people they've talked to? Secret Service people, FBI, CIA, MI5, MI6, who say, listen, you don't know this, but I worked for Five Eyes and I know Bobby Kennedy knows more dirt than anybody. And he probably knows the name of the shooters. My favorite is look up Lucien Sarti, Sarti.
Okay, I will, but before I do that,
no,
Monique
damn it, I'm telling you what to do. You do what I do. No, I'm sorry.
Monique is wondering, do you think the unaliving of Marilyn Monroe will be revealed when these sealed?
No, because I think we know what happened. She, it is believed, it is posited, was dispatched by Bobby Kennedy and Peter Lawford. Peter Lawford, they used. He was married to Pat or whatever, one of the sisters. They used him. Like you can't believe. She, it is rumored at the time, fell in love with John Kennedy. She was stooping everything. Bobby Kennedy, that thing, same thing goes for Jackie. They were, John Kennedy's friend growing up was a gay man named Lev, whatever, Billings or something. And they used to, apparently. And Joe Kennedy said, I don't care as long as he doesn't get somebody pregnant. He can do whatever he wants. They were like, as we say in the South, a three-peckered goat. They had no sense of affiliation, team, anything, anytime. They stoop mud. They do a snake if you hold a hit. You know what I mean? They just were degenerates. You know, they have the lace curtain shanty. This is shanty Irish, Boston, low rent, who fancy themselves and thinking they were better. All these people were just red. Anyway, so they were all tagging Marilyn. Now she, they believe, might have been with child. And that's why she says, I'm gonna break this open. And Bobby, supposedly, and Peter Lawford went to see her. Now, here's something interesting. It was posited by a number of people that the means of administration of either the barbiturate, pentobarbital, anxiolytic, whatever it was that caused her to overdose, might have been through either enema or something along those lines. And the reason why I say that is because it was reported that her housekeeper walked in, saw the crime scene, and saw an empty bottle of pills and said, wait a minute. Yes, we found these undissolved. She didn't take these pills. She couldn't take a pill without gagging. And I don't know if the pills were undissolved, but there's no way she did this. All right, that was done. Joe DiMaggio, the love of her life, his life, never forgave them. So, was she dispatched? Looks like that to me. Dorothy Kilgallen. You familiar with that one? Look up the name when you get a chance. This was a writer. She was on game shows. Dorothy Kilgallen. Dorothy Kilgallen. Just a lot of YouTubes. You'll love this. She was on TV and then boop. So let me go back to a couple of things. Again, background. Shaun, this was 1963, 18 years after World War II. All of those guys who were the baddest there she is, Dorothy Kilgallen. Great YouTube stuff on her. The people who were responsible for destroying Hitler and the OSS and Wild Bill Donovan and all these guys and then the CIA, they were in power. Now think about this. Going back in World War II, Sicily was a very important place. And we didn't know anything about Sicily. Well, guess who did? The mafia. Calogero Vizzini, Cassioferro, all these guys, the Il Uomo di Onore, the men of honor. They hated Mussolini.